Think about the men and women who serve our country. They come from all walks of life and all kinds of circumstances. And what that means is that after their service, they also return to all kinds of circumstances. So while some veterans come home to stable families who help them transition to civilian life, others come home to communities of poverty and violence that cannot meet their needs. Often these veterans and their communities do not know how to handle the lasting impact of their military service. I want you to meet Michael, who's a client of ours. And I really enjoyed working with Michael because he actually reminds me a lot of my dad. But unlike my dad, Michael struggles with a lot of challenges. He has post-traumatic stress from his service in Vietnam, as well as a career here at home as a Boston police officer. Michael had only a few years ago, Michael was living on the street, and he had worked really hard to get into an apartment of his own. And he came to us when he received an eviction notice just before Christmas last year. Now, by going into court with Michael, we were able to stop the eviction and keep him in that home that he'd worked so hard to rebuild. But unfortunately, there are many more veterans like Michael out there who need our help. On any given night, there are 1,250 homeless veterans here in Massachusetts. And we know that a disproportionate number of our homeless are also veterans. In fact, while veterans are 8% of the general population, they represent almost 1/3 of our homeless population. Now, what these veterans have in common is that they're all dealing with the lasting physical, mental, and economic impact of their military service. And because of these lasting consequences of service, veterans grapple with many risk factors, like mental and physical disabilities. These risk factors often lead to legal problems, like consumer debt collection issues and evictions. And when these legal problems go unaddressed, it can create a cycle of homelessness and instability. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs has actually identified unmet legal needs as one of the root causes of veterans' homelessness. I promise I didn't even make that up for tonight. Direct quote. So how is it that these needs go unmet? Well, you can see that access to justice is often based on people's ability to pay for representation. Anybody in this room who owns a television knows that if you're arrested and you need a lawyer in a criminal action, the state has to provide you with one. But that's not the case when it comes to civil legal issues, even if it could mean losing your home or losing your family. So you can see the almost impossible mountain a homeless veteran would have to climb to get the help that they need. And of those civil legal aid organizations serving the poor here in Massachusetts, ours is the only organization whose mission is to serve veterans. This is how we're fulfilling that mission. We're reaching out to veterans on site at homeless shelters and service centers, providing them with legal services right there in the shelter where they're already getting a bed or a hot meal. We're educating a network of culturally competent advocates, including law students from all 6 Boston area law schools, as well as attorneys from area law firms to provide them with advocacy. And we're advocating for those veterans both in and out of the courtroom. As a result, our clients are achieving stable housing, economic security, and healthy families. We're a small organization with only 3 full-time staff and a shoestring budget of $250,000, and we were able to achieve big results, providing $1.4 million worth of services last year, the vast majority of which were pro bono. We also know that those services are cost-effective. The Department of Housing and Urban Development estimates that a single homeless person costs society approximately $40,000 per year. Now that's because homeless people utilize the most costly services available, like emergency rooms, jails, and shelters. Now thinking back to Michael, in contrast, we were able to keep him stably housed with only about $1,800 worth of legal services. So if he had been kicked out of his apartment and were living on the street, the cost not only to him, but to everyone in this room would have been so much higher. We also know that the need for our services continues to grow. The conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan represent the longest period of armed conflict in our nation's history. And we've asked Iraq and Afghanistan veterans to serve in an unprecedented capacity, asking them to deploy multiple times in many cases. As a result, these veterans are becoming homeless faster than any generation of veterans before them. Now, we know the need continues to grow, but for every veteran we currently serve, there's another we have to turn away. So we need your help to serve an additional 200 of these veterans each year. We need your help to double our community partnerships and clinic sites so that we can make our services even more accessible to those in need. And we need your help to leverage the overwhelming interest of volunteers who we can't take advantage of right now. So we need your help to make sure that no other veterans in Massachusetts stay homeless because of legal problems. Now, in closing, I want to ask you to think about your commute over the last few days. You probably saw someone living on the street. I know I saw someone on the way to this event tonight holding a sign over on Memorial Drive. Now, there's a nearly 1 in 3 chance that that person has served our country, and he or she deserves better than living in a shelter or sleeping on the sidewalk.